Under the night lights here at the Lucas Oil Raceway Park, it's time to roll ourselves one step closer to the championship showdown of Racecraft Rallycross in 2023. Hello everyone and welcome back along as we get set for what is bound to be an exciting night of action here live today. My name is Arjuna Kankipati alongside today with Ewan O'Leary as we get set for a track that I have described on multiple occasions this season, Ewan, as the worst track on all of IRX.
I'm glad you're hyping it up very well, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's certainly an interesting one. There's no doubt about that. It's a very, very different challenge and maybe a little bit of a weird one compared to all of the others. But looking forward to it. It's a real track, of course, as I used in the real world. So why not? We'll see what racing we can get tonight.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. I say it's the worst track of all, but it was the one that was run in the real world. Let's talk a little bit more about the schedule before we talk about the track. We'll have a week off after this, don't forget, as we allow everyone to go off and celebrate for Easter. But then, of course, our season finale at Charlotte, what was meant to be the season finale at Charlotte, now no longer our championship showdown, instead the rescheduled round at Sonoma. One of the drivers' favorite tracks will play host to what hopefully will be an exciting season rundown, at least here on RX2. Let's talk about the track very quickly, then we'll talk about the points, because it's a interestingly shaped track. It winds its way all the way through part of the oval here at this Lucas Oil Raceway Park in Indianapolis, Indiana. Under a mile in length, and that Joker section in use is you and what we always talk about, and that merged directly into the path of turn number one.
Yeah, that's where the action could really come here tonight with the rejoin in there. We don't normally see this with Joker laps. We've seen some strange ones down the circuits, but none quite like this one. And it does, of course, cost you a bit of time as well. But you say part of the oval there. It does use quite a lot of it, realistically. You will be reaching some quite high speed going down towards that Joker section and down towards turn number one as well. It's a very, very strange challenge, as I'm sure we'll say multiple times over the course of the night.
So it's a really wonderful facility. I was there for Carb Night in the month of May, and looking forward to go back to a track that's got plenty of connections here on iRacing. Let's talk a little bit more about points and how they're built up, and then talk you through the championship standings for the first of two championships up on deck. It all starts in qualifying, 6 points on the board for the driver that is able to get pole position. From there, points awarded down to 6, but we split our drivers up into heats, where then once again we're fighting not just for positions in the feature automatically, but points once again. A perfect championship round if you win across the qualifying, heats and feature, all going to tot itself up to 29 points. And so with that said, let's talk about how it sits in the championship, with time starting to wind down. 10 rounds, 2 drop rounds allowed for the drivers, but it's 3 wins for Kane Lasky that has allowed him to build what is a 16-point advantage over Dylan Baldwin, with Sean Winkler and Esteban Titz running 3rd and 4th positions. Ollie Honka, of note, not going to be running for the rest of the championship. We'll talk more about that for the rest of this broadcast, but Ewan, you look at that top of the championship and it looks pretty intriguing, all things considered.
It does look very intriguing, I've got to say. 16 points only between Lasky and Baldwin up the front of the field there. Winkler and Titz are not too far away either. 22 points separating the top 4 with 3 rounds remaining. That's a possible 87 you can still gain. So realistically, a lot of those on your screen right there are in contention, but maybe not. Well, mathematically they are. Realistically, maybe not. I'm looking at the top 4 over the course of the next 4 weeks.
I tend to agree with you. Let's talk about our Racecraft TV race analysis. We have 5-lap heats, 5-lap LCQs, and then 10-lap features, all with an 8x incident limit. The bank of incidents is very much going to be in play, I think, here with a fixed setup for RX2. It's the introduction to Rallycross for some of these drivers, and Kane Lasky, in his bid for the championship, will put it at the very front of qualifying. You'll have Sebastian Broberg, who impressed on his debut in the series by heading straight to victory lane alongside Greg Johnson, Matthew Morris, Rennie Wegner, and Hector Sierra. That's your front 3 rows. Vincent Sowers and Cody Winicki will line up behind them in what will be a 8-car heat. We'll have 3 of these heats getting stacked up under the night lights. We're on the back straightaway here, getting ready to rumble at the Indianapolis Lucas Oil Raceway Park. You can see the run through the dirt inside. That's going to be where the drivers wind themselves back onto the tarmac. Maybe a couple of drivers yoinking onto the handbrake. It's not a track that was seen in very many recent iRacing World Championship seasons. How much experience do these drivers have? With 3 wide on the front row, getting ready to go for the first time tonight for round 8 of the championship. It's a great start in the middle for Broberg, but it's two purple machines that make some contact as they funnel their way through the very slight banking on the backside of the oval. Fiesta on the outside as they work their way now across the line to start the first lap. No one taking to the Joker. It's not allowed in the series. And onto the 90-degree turn number 1. Single file, we get through safely.
It's a huge run down to the first braking zone, and that's really strung the field out. But Broberg with a good start here. Lasky under a little bit of pressure from Winicki in the second place. They go over the jump and towards the hairpin for the first time.
Who's going to be bravest of them all, with Lasky a little bit wide initially, Winicki tucking back in. But it is going to be Broberg that will come through that hairpin back onto the tarmac to lead at the end of lap number 1. Bit of a slide there from Winicki, getting back onto the power. Who comes down to the Joker first time by?
Well, let's have a look. Those in traffic may well want to, but it doesn't really cost you that much time. Nobody inside the top 5 going to do that as we ride on board with Matthew Morris briefly.
I love the view that we have of everything in that room, not just him in VR, but his PC up on the desk as well, the way it's meant to be. Ewan, where's your PC?
It's still in the shop. I haven't bought it. I haven't bought one.
True, you're on a laptop. I totally forgot.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it's on the desk as well, as it would be. But yeah, to be honest, when I first looked at that camera, I didn't know I didn't even know if he was in the room at all. He's so well tucked away.
Side by side in front of Hector Sierra Jr. That's Wegner and Sowers. No one taking to the Joker just yet. I wonder if we'll see that now as we come across the line to start lap 3 of 5, as we see Lasky working through. Broberg did take to the Joker, and he's going to come out alongside Johnson, and in fact will hold on to third.
That's an interesting call for a race leader to take the Joker at a place where it does cost you time. He's put himself straight into traffic with Winicki now, and I really can't think of any reasons why he would do that, and he does get off the jump wrong and into the wall as well.
Now, how hard did he make contact as he bent the steering? Will that compromise him for the rest of the race? Onto the handbrake, through onto the tarmac. No major drama, but only Broberg, I think, taking to the Joker then, that time of asking.
I think so, unless somebody really a lot further down went for it. I don't think so. And Lasky's going to continue on. It does look to me as well, he's going to have to take this one on the final lap now, as most of them seem to be going for.
Yeah, surely everyone else is going to come in on the final lap. Broberg all over the back of Winicki. End of the day, the early Joker may not cost him a spot in the feature, but as Lasky slides his way off the jump now, almost mirroring what we saw with Broberg, if Broberg does not win this heat, let's not forget, he will compromise the starting spot in the feature.
Absolutely, you've got to remember that. It's not just about getting through this heat, but also getting a good starting position for the feature as well. So Kane Lasky is going to have to take in the Joker here, and we'll see where Broberg is, because Winicki's surely going to drop down as well. Broberg's nowhere to be seen. He lost loads of time in taking the Joker.
And Winicki almost able to fight, but Broberg are beautifully set up and under, able to get alongside and almost tipped around by Winicki in the Subaru. But the Ford Fiesta up and over the jump, back to second spot.
Well, he is briefly, but inside of turn 4 for the Subaru. It should be the Fiesta around the outside. It should be Broberg advancing to the feature, unless there's a dive right here at the end. And there is.
2 advance, and so while Lasky will sail on through to the feature, Winicki up down low with Broberg up high, trying to roll his momentum to the line. What a heat to kick things off here under the night lights at the Lucas Oil Raceway Park, but it will be Lasky and Broberg that advance in their purple machines, with Winicki and the Subaru just missing out. I may have underhyped this one, Ewan.
Possibly. I mean, I just don't understand how Broberg lost so much time taking his Joker there. He really screwed himself and nearly saw himself in the last chance qualifier.
And so we've shown how tricky it can be to take to the Joker. A Subaru and a Ford advance, but Winicki, Morris, Wegner, Sowers, Johnson, and Sierra Jr. have an additional chance, of course, coming up in the last chance qualifiers. Ready to go for the second heat of the night, and again, 2 advance with 7 getting locked and loaded. McFarlane and Winkler on the front row, with Shell and Ziegler behind. Brown and Kusin line up 5th and 6th, with Eric Dubois back in 7th. And of course, to correct myself, it's 3 wide on the front row, 2 wide behind them, and then 3 wide once again if we have enough cars. Engines roar once again for heat number 2 in RX2. About deadlocked at the very front on the start, and it is going to be the Sens on the outside that see McFarlane dropping back momentarily. It's going to be Sean Winkler, though, that leads them on that running towards turn number 1. Shell and McFarlane battling behind.
Deep on the brakes as well, but it looks like everybody's going to be quite, well, I was going to say quite safe, and then there was contact at turn 1.
Tyler Shell gets shoved off into the wall. He will have steering damage as a result of that one. Winkler scrambles to survive second as it's bumper cars and skittles behind.
What a mess that was behind. There'll be a lot of damage going around. And now Keenan Couson's got a bit of a job on everyone, to be honest, other than McFarlane and Winkler have got a big job on here to advance here. It's only top 2, and there's already a big gap between second and third.
I'm trying to figure out who that is over the shoulder of not John Cena. I was going to say Keenan Cousin. It's John Cena and someone else, because of course no one can see John Cena as that was Ziegler up into the wall. No one taking to the Joker's second time of asking, and we've already seen the dangers of trying to take the Joker a little bit early. Onto the handbrake it looked like for Cousin as a bit of a slip up in front by Nathan Brown. Sean Winkler has lost a bit of ground to McFarlane, starting to break away.
Yeah, I think McFarlane has got the measure of Winkler here, and this is important for the championship, of course, not least because there's an extra point on the line here for Winkler to try and grab from third place in the points as he is right now, but also it gives you a better starting position for the feature as well, which I'm sure we'll mention multiple more times across the next heat as well.
And in the last chance qualifiers, it's something to remember. It all builds up in Rallycross as Nathan Brown shows the tight entry down into the Joker. And then in that VW Beetle, the tighter entry that you have as well into turn number 1. Left-hand 90 degree into right-hand 90 degree, turns 2 and 3. And you can just see how wide both the Beetle for Nathan Brown as well as the Fiesta for Tyler Shell were trying to set up the run back down in the opposite direction, the pit straightaway. And then a lot of sideways action there from Tyler Shell.
Very sideways indeed. He does look like he's got a bit of speed here actually, but after finding the wall earlier on, getting that bit of damage, he's marred back in 5th place and he's just searching for a good last chance qualifiers starting position, I would think, because that does also matter for that one. So that's what he can. That's all he can hope for really from this one. He's a long way back from where he needs to be, which is up here, of course.
That's McFarlane, the race leader, up and over the jump and just controlling the pitch with the pedals. I was mentioning this track's ties to iRacing. The marketing and media manager at the Lucas Oil Raceway Park, Tanner Watkins, the founder of Open Wheels, the Open Wheels 500, a very popular member of the iRacing IndyCar community, and continues to be active in that role. It was a blast seeing during the month of May the Silver Crown, the way they just blast you back with the amount of sheer volume of air they transport. It's a really wonderful night. McFarlane Jokers and clear in front of Winkler, the two looking set to advance.
They look absolutely fine. It was a nice entry there from McFarlane. It was quite committed, to be fair, considering the lead he had. Maybe he didn't need to go that, committed on the way in, but decided to anyway, making absolutely sure of this win here, and he'll be on the front row for the feature.
It's been an interesting heat number 2 here. A little bit more scrambly at the start, although we have once again seen just the importance of execution through the course of the evening. McFarlane will take the victory in heat number 2, advances along with Sean Winkler. The rest of the drivers have one more chance under these night lights, including the lights of Tyler Shell, to work their way through onto the 10-lap main event. Plenty of beaten and damaged race cars, including one that seems to be barely able to make the hairpin.
Absolutely. That was all happened really down at turn 1, that race did. Let's hope that we get a little bit more action spread out through the next heat, because it was a bit of a bash and a crash really into turn 1, and then that was it pretty much.
So Evan McFarlane yet to sit on the podium so far this season, advances to another feature. Sean Winkler goes through with him, Cousin, Brown and the rest get ready to go for one of 2 last chance qualifiers. Meanwhile, heat number 3, the final of our heats, gets ready to go with Robbie Kirtley, Tom Grady and Esteban Titz on the front row, with the number 2 machine back out in the Subaru STI. Feels very weird. Vince Pichel and Andrew Howell sit behind them, with Kenny Hoffman and Trevor Teal technically not taking to the grid, meaning that 6 will enter and 2 will advance. The Legion Speed Sport Subaru STI in the middle of the 3-wide run, and we saw it last time through. It's interesting to see how committed these drivers are going to be the first time by that oval 3 and 4 with relatively cold tires.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. It's a very long run down towards the first braking zone as well. Probably contributed to some of the chaos that we saw in Heat 2.
So here we go, the final heat for RX2 gets ready to rumble at the Lucas Oil Raceway Park. Slow reaction there from Tom Grady, but it was a good start from Robbie Kirtley and Esteban Tit. The Fiesta's gonna get squeezed on the inside. Grady's Legion Speed Sport Subaru able to make up the advantage. 3 abreast now for second as the 535 goes on through. Esteban Tit with more contact. One of our championship contenders will have to go surely through a last chance qualifier. Grady clear from Kirtley and Howell as they fight for second and third.
It's the dream start for Grady. He's away and surely through to the feature, but Teets has had a disaster. The worst possible opening for him. Lasky and also Winkler got through without real problems in their heats, really. They'll first of all have more points than him from these heats, and they'll also be in a lot better of a position to start the feature if Teets can even get there, because you're absolutely right. He probably has to go through the last chance qualifiers.
Vince Pichel came out of turns 2 and 3 second position, but now sits back in 4th, as I think we're about to see Andrew Howell take down to the Joker. Now, is he going to be clear of those behind? This is a crucial moment of the race, and he is. He'll slam it shot on the apex. Able to hold his spot in front of Kirtley, who gets bullied by Pichel, who cut the corner, and then absolutely choke-slammed Hoffman, or rather Howell, off the track.
It was Kirtley, wasn't it, who got shoulder barged off, and I think he's gone to he's gone to a part of the track where iRacing won't let him be there, and he's back to the pit lane now, so
it got my timing so confused that I was like, it couldn't be Kirtley apparently, but yes, it was. Exactly. Just take a look though in towards turn 1 and then out of 2. So that was Esteban Tits unfortunately getting just completely shoulder checked, nothing he could do. Vince Pichel just absolutely sent it in towards turn 1. Then with turn 2, Kirtley, well, got a bit of an elbow there initially from Vince Pichel, who avoids running too hard into the wall and then up and over the jump. That was just turns 2, 3, and 4.
That was quite the start, but once again, the chaos has all come at the start, and now we've got a top 2 away with their jokers already taken, and they're away from the rest of the field as well. There is Tom Grady, who should be on making up the final point of the front row here in the heats. Howell should be on the second row from heat 3, and the 4 behind will need a miracle to make it. They'll need the last chance qualifiers.
Riding with the 535, looking calm, cool, and collected, but you will notice yoinking on that handbrake, especially on the tarmac, just getting the rear wheels locked up to induce the extra rotation, but it's going to be through this dirt section that he's just going to be a little bit more tight. He commits initially with just a lot of steering, balances it with then the throttle, down through the gears, locks up the rears again to pivot it back in the opposite direction. It's not a wild driving style, it's all just about trying to make the most of the transitions.
Yeah, it looks really calm and considered and composed from Grady at the moment, and I guess you would be in a lead in such a safe situation as this at the moment, but it does show that while there's a lot of bashing and crashing when all the cars are together, these drivers are very calm and composed when it's all on their own. Grady being caught here by Howell quite obviously, but won't matter too much for the outcome of this race.
Yep, final lap of this third and final heat. Get ready for a couple of more last chance qualifiers after this for RX2. Track evolution, you can see the lines through that dirt right-hand sweeper starting to change, and then back onto the tarmac. No major drama in that fight between Grady and Howell, who look comfortably set to advance on through. Kenny Hoffman dropping behind Vince Pichel, as Tom Grady across the line to grab the victory in heat number 3, as the Subarus lock their way on forward. Esteban Tit somehow scrambles his way to a 4th place finish.
That will place him slightly better in the last chance qualifiers. I think he will have a chance of, well, he's definitely got a chance of going through. I think he will do, though. And if not, that'll be very, very damaging to his championship.
I wonder what happened then to poor Kenny Hoffman to see him drop down. But here's a look at those results very quickly. Remember, Trevor Teal not actually racing here today, and so we'll see Pichel, Tits, Hoffman, and Kirtley in one of the 2 last chance qualifiers, which will see 3 advancing from each of them. So with Nicky, Pichel, and Brown on the front row, we'll have to try and avoid squabbling amongst themselves. Wegner, Hoffman on row 2, with Ziegler, Johnson lining up on the 3rd and final row. Again, Trevor Teal will not take to the start. Once again, it was an interesting start to heat number 3 on that run out of the oval corners into turn 1. I'm expecting a little bit more drama here, Ewan.
Yeah, it certainly will be drama-filled, and as you said, a few more, one more getting through the last chance to qualify here, but that won't decrease the ambition going towards turn one. There's a lot of pressure on the first braking zone of these races.
I saw Vince Pichel getting a little bit physical out there, the UFC fighter. He has got Nathan Brown on his outside, Cody Winicki on his inside, and we saw Winicki was willing to get physical as well. Car squat down though for the first of two last chance qualifiers. It was a good timing from Pichel, but bogged down after that. Winicki going to sail his way up the track and into the path of Pichel, who's going to have to now tuck back in and watch the challenge from one of two Ford Fiestas in this last chance qualifier. Remember, no joker on lap number one. And through the 90-degree turn number one, Pichel pokes himself to the inside, but bravest of them all for a moment was one of two Ford Fiestas, and it's caused absolute skittles. Vince Pichel takes a commanding lead at the front.
Whoa, who was that? One of the Fiestas just cutting the whole track and going through and right back involved, and it's caused a crash, I think. It's certainly caused a crash. Johnson and Hoffman both off the road and both dropping down massively. That'll be it for Hoffman. He'll be out. Pichel should be through as well. He's got a big lead as Ziegler gets it wrong.
That was very, very untidy there from Ziegler, but I think able to avoid cutting the track and holds it tight to the inside, winding out back onto the pit straight. Let's take a look at the replay here. So it was initially a bit of a slam into the wall by, I think that was Greg Johnson, and then in through turn one, just watch the send initially from Kenny Hoffman. That happens a bit in front of the checkup behind with Ziegler and company, but they all just run into the scene of an incident as Vince Pichel says thank you very much.
Yeah, and one of the Fiestas is going to rejoin here, right on, so it wasn't even involved in that. Johnson hits the wall and then, well, takes Hoffman to the wall as if he's a kid pushing another kid against a school locker there. Well, that was quite brutal, really. But there we are.
I was getting very confused. It's Hoffman in the Dr. Pepper car. It's Wegner who is in the Ken Block liveried car. No one's jokered as we come across the line to start lap 3 of 5, except Cody Winicki, who finds himself now stuck behind Jared Ziegler in the number 57 in through turn number 2. There's going to be a bit of contact. Ziegler goes scrambling off into the grass as Winicki goes up over the jump.
He's gone miles off as well, but that shouldn't seal it now. Winicki had been the only one to take the joker, and I think Brown just did, actually. And so the top three should be pretty secure. They've got a really big gap, but Pichel does seem to be struggling around this circuit and might well get gobbled up here by Brown, who's just in that second place right now and looking for a better starting position. Pichel still needs to take the joker and might drop to third here.
Interesting. Well, he'll take it on the penultimate lap, and he really is able to hold on, but it's now really, I think, going to be Winicki versus Brown. If Pichel can put a little bit of separation, but up and over. I don't think technically you can add one to the flip counter there. That's 0.6, if that. Unfortunately, it is going to be Nathan Brown done and dusted for the night.
Oh, that is such a shame. He was in a position to advance as well, but just clips the tyre barrier, goes up onto his side and can't be recovered from there. As Winicki's going very slowly there. So Brown back to pit lane. Johnson's going to go through as a result, and I don't actually think there's anybody left to overtake Greg Johnson now.
No, I think you're right. We are literally left to the Royal Rumble of 3. Pichel, Winicki, and Johnson. What an interesting night it's been so far, Ewan. We've got 0.75 on the flip counter. 0.6 maybe, I think.
It's, well, we can debate decimals all day.
We need to get the angle measured.
Yeah, we do need to get the protractor out, or whatever it is in America. But yes.
Protractor.
You'd think. But yes, there we are. Very bizarre race, I've got to say. Very bizarre.
Well, in the physical encounter, is it any surprise that an MMA fighter comes out on top? Vince Pichel scrambles through the last chance qualifiers to advance through with Cody Winicki and Greg Johnson, all three in the Subaru STIs, but with 7 starters, only 3 coming across the line. I think that is a story in and of itself. Let's take a look at the results of the first of the last chance qualifiers. My word, we're still in for plenty more. Plenty more. Let's talk, though, about last chance qualifier number 2, because there are some strong names that will want to work their way on forward. You've got Keenan Kusin that will line up on the inside of the front row with Matthew Morris and Istvan Titz once again on the outside of row number 1. Tyler Schell and Vincent Sowers behind with Robbie Kirtley, Eric Dubois, and Hector Sierra Jr. making up an 8-car last chance qualifier 2, with again 3 cars advancing, Ewan.
Yeah, and that's going to give a bit of a chance to Istvan Tietz as well. I would say for his championship, he absolutely needs to get through this heat, get into the feature, and just to pick up those few more points. He won't get any points for this, of course, but maybe in the feature, he's got to get through here, in my opinion, but it's going to be difficult.
Let's not forget that he finished last in the feature back at Barcelona. He's looking for a bit of redemption. Ready to go, though, for LCQ2. Away we go. A good start from both of the Subarus on the front row. But that Ford Fiesta getting swarmed as Tyler Schell challenges to the inside in the fight for third position. But clear at the front. Keenan Kusin will lead them as a spin in and off towards the Joker. Big drama there for Matthew Morris, but not such a drama for the race lead. Kusin and Tietz 1 and 2.
And the best slide I've ever seen in my life there from Sowers there in the 4th place. Continue. Oh no, it's gone now. He's been hit by Schell, I think, by the looks of things. And there was certainly contact there between Morris and I think it was Schell as well. Two of the Fiestas definitely got together on the front straight of the oval there, and that's what sent Morris off to the side, certainly.
Oh, Keenan Kusin very, very wide, and it sets up a chain reaction as Sowers gets run into by Tyler Schell, who gets the worst of the encounter and now drops to 5th position.
Well, that was all very clumsy. It started from Kusin right at the front, and the concertina effect was quite crazy. Everybody just got it more wrong as it went on, and unfortunately, it has seen Schell around. But with this race, with these races at this track, I'm not counting him out yet.
Let's take a look at what happened on the race start and exactly how this all swarmed its way on through. So I think that's going to be Matthew Morris that's getting squeezed initially, with Istvan Tietz then getting the nose chopped off rather rudely. Tyler Schell does spin the nose there, or chop rather, cut himself off. Wonder what race control is going to think of all of this, and poor Trevor Teal's going to be busy up there in the steward's booth.
He is, and this is going to be the contact for... Oh no, it wasn't contact, excuse me. It was up on the curb there for that Subaru, just through turn 2 there. So that's what sent him off the road. It wasn't Schell getting into even more contact, but you're right, he did have that bit of contact with Morris on the start. Kusin looking pretty good then for advancing, and Tietz is as well, but Kirtley has got Sowers not too far behind. There is going to be a fight for 3rd place here, definitely.
Yeah, I would be shocked if these two fight too hard. Transitioning back onto the tarmac once again. This is the view on board with the first car to have joked in this race, as he gets a move made on him by Tyler Schell. It's all getting a little bit angsty for these drivers. No one ducking down to the Joker as they come onto the penultimate lap of the race. And so it's going to be interesting to set up what is the final spot that transfers through to the feature. How it's going to play on out as Kirtley almost gets himself a nose grind.
Oh, that was close as well. Schell through then. Kirtley just getting it all wrong over the turtles there and gets up into the air. He's lost a whole bit of speed as well. Sowers down the inside of him. He's gotten it all wrong on the outside as well. Schell might be through as a result of this.
It's going to be an aggressive pitch through the corner, and Sowers all the way down to 5th. And now, final lap of the race. 4 cars will take off to the Joker on that left-hand side and take the tighter line into turn 1. Although, having said that, Kusin and Tietz had both joked on that previous time of asking. Schell's going to emerge in the battle for the 3rd and final transfer spot, clear with just a handful more corners left to go.
It should be absolutely fine. The top 3-4 positions should stay where they are for now. Even the top 5, to be honest. All the chaos once again happening at the start. A good recovery, though, from Schell, who overcame a lot of difficulties in this race to advance.
It's a bit wild there from Schell, up and over the jump and through the right-hander, but able to control the Ford Fiesta. Keenan Kusin, after grabbing his first Racecraft Rallycross victory a handful of weeks ago, will drift his way across the line in style through to the feature once again. He brings with him the fellow Subaru of Istvan Tietz, Tyler Schell, the 3rd and final car that we will transfer on to the 10-lap main event. We say goodbye to Robbie Kirtley, Vincent Sowers, Matthew Morris, Hector Sierra Jr., and Eric Dubois. We'll get confirmation of those race results, and the drivers will get one final warm-up before we get ready to go for that main event. It was 1 second or so at the line between the 03 and the 2, while Tyler Schell bodied up after all the contact. A little bit further behind, but clear of the chasing pack. So it's been a rather interesting and physical start to the proceedings here today, Ewan. I mean, as we now get set for 10 laps, one thing that I always like to point out is with RX2, the drivers get 8 incident points rather than just, I think, 5 for RX1. So they get a little bit more leeway for contact.
A little bit more, yeah, but I guess, judging by the racing so far, I don't think it will matter whether they've got 1 or 100. They're going to race each other as hard as possible anyway, by the looks of things. So, yeah, it's going to be another one of those races. It's going to be really physical at the front, and turn 1, it can't be stressed how important turn 1 is into these races. We've seen quite a number of these heats settled there.
So Tom Grady running well. Let's not forget that if you enjoy a bit of off-road truck action, the qualifying series for the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series is underway, so you can go and find out more about that on iRacing.com, and maybe you'll find yourself competing in the iRacing Off-Road Championship later on this summer. We have a handful of those drivers out on the grid as well. Ewan, I know you don't do much sim racing, but have you ever seen those trucks around their natural habitats?
I have seen them, yeah. I don't expect you to have driven them, but no, I have seen it. Although it's not something I know anything about, to be honest.
To be honest, neither did I until last summer. It was a trial by fire. I enjoyed it immensely. I grew up watching rallying, and then I got into Rallycross as a natural progression of that, of course. But off-road championship stuff is very, very different, and it's one thing that a lot of drivers say they want two-wheel drive cars rather than four-wheel drive cars because there's more skill in that. Rallycross cars, at least at this level, are always four-wheel drive. What do you think about two-wheel drive Rallycross cars?
I think it would be hard work, to be honest.
Just around here.
Yeah, well, anywhere I would say, but yeah, it would feel a bit bizarre to me, really. It would feel, although I guess maybe some people would like the sort of old school feel you might get from it, because it does feel a little bit modern with the four-wheel drive Rallycross cars, and something that I personally would never be able to go back from, really.
Especially now that we've got electric Rallycross cars. Here's how they'll line up with 12 cars making their way on through, of course, to this main event. Kane Lasky, Evan McFarlane, and Tom Grady line up on the front row with Sebastian Broberg and Sean Winkler behind them. Andrew Howell on the inside of Vince Pichel and Keenan Kusin. And the first of the cars, of course, advancing their way on forward with Cody Winicki, Istvan Titz behind them. It'll be Greg Johnson and Tyler Schell on the final row of the grid. 10 laps onto the board, 12 cars getting ready to go under the night lights at the Lucas Oil Raceway Park. As Istvan Titz takes to his starting spot, the drivers look up toward the gantry, launch their cars into revs, and get ready to go for the feature of RX2. Slow start from Lasky, good start from the outside though of the front row. He's gonna get physical and try and hold on to third position. Not too much drama though, really, as we work our way in towards turn number 1. It's 3 wide for 4th, 5th, and 6th positions, but no major drama for McFarlane, who leads them through the corner.
Oh, there was nearly major drama. There was a bit of contact, and there is contact further back for 4th place. The leaders are away and through with this, but I'm afraid behind. There has been contact. Everybody will filter through. It's actually been one of the cleanest starts of the day, despite the biggest field we've seen so far.
It was Broberg that got the worst of it, and he drops down to 10th position, has been unable to show the raw speed that we know he's got since that victory that he had. Back onto the tarmac, bit of a check up there, but they all get through there safely. Broberg working his way back up to 10th position. But across the line, McFarlane from Lasky, who takes to the Joker because he's got some separation behind, and this is perfect for him. Pichel runs in 3rd, and now Lasky, after the slightly slow getaway off the line, can pressure McFarlane with plenty of laps left to play.
Absolutely, a fantastic idea from Lasky there. He saw the gap behind, he knew that he had the chance there to go into the Joker, take it early, as traditionally you do leave it pretty late around this circuit. However, Lasky has now kind of put the pressure on McFarlane, really, despite the leader having a bit of a gap now.
Tyler Schell to the inside of Sean Winkler, but he oversends it back onto the tarmac, and Andrew Howell will also get the up and under on that Ford Fiesta, back through the banking once again. Schell trying to cut back to the inside. He's got a bit of an overlap. Does he duck down to the Joker? They're so busy focused on the fighting that I'm not sure if any of them's really thinking about Joker strategy. Howell lets Schell go on through, but is able to block pass on Keenan Kusin. I tell you what, some of these drivers are taking some liberties with the curves.
They absolutely are. We've seen a lot of cars vaulting over that so far. Oh my word, just before the jump, Kusen very nearly found himself on top of a Fiesta there. Now he's way out wide through turn 4, down in towards turn 5. This battle is basically from third place all the way down. It's very, very exciting indeed.
It's definitely getting physical. I think there was a margin between McFarlane and Lasky, and so he takes to the Joker on lap 4 of 10. No one behind, I think, likely to take the very tighter line in towards turn number 1. McFarlane will be clear for the race lead, and now it's just a wheel-to-wheel fight separated by maybe 3 car lengths.
It's not very much right now, but you've got to wonder whether Lasky will be thinking about this one now with his championship brain or with his race driver brain right now, because realistically, logically, you would put your championship head on here and just think, I've accumulated more than 20 points today. My rivals are all behind me. One of them not even here. This is a good chance to just finish second and conserve the points, but he will also have the devil on his shoulder going for that win.
Kane Lasky, rather, has never finished in second position this season. He's finished first 3 times, he's finished third 2 times. McFarlane with a mistake and gets T-boned by Kane Lasky, who will sail on through to the race lead and potentially a 4th victory this season.
Well, that was McFarlane all on his own there. We mentioned about the curbs and people taking liberties with them. Well, that was the biggest of them yet from the race lead. Lasky was already mid-slide and so couldn't avoid smashing into McFarlane, spinning him around and putting him in a battle with Sean Winkler.
Goodness gracious me, what a moment. Lasky fortunate to get away without any major drama. I did mention earlier, Ollie Honka sits inside, I think, of the top 5 in points, but we will be missing the rest of the season. He has given his wheelbase over to Santeri Heiskanen that actually broke during the heat races in RX1 at Barcelona. Heiskanen able to finish out the season. Honka will be watching on. If that's not what teammates will do for you, Ewan, I don't know what teammates you really would want.
I wouldn't do that for a teammate.
Wow, you're a terrible teammate.
I've got to be honest. Fair play to him, though. Fair play to him for that. Shame we'll be missing him, though, as Tyler Schell gets into Vince Pichel. These two have found themselves difficult to separate from one another so far.
Literally sometimes. It feels like they've been locked in the clinch. To be fair, Ollie Honka has been unable to make the rest of the season due to his work schedule, so still a good teammate, I'm just saying. Winnicki has Joker, 2 as Winkler, Pichel have all done so. With 4 laps now left to go, it leaves Tyler Schell the odd man out in the field of 12 machines. And despite what a physical encounter it's been so far, Ewan, all 12 machines still up and going.
That is quite remarkable, really, considering the amount of contact we've seen so far. So fair play to everybody for that. And yeah, good driving from everybody to on the most part. Well, we've seen a bit of contact, but that's what Rallycross is for.
It depends on who you ask, I guess.
It's a joke.
Yeah, we used to have arguments after some IRX World Championship broadcasts between Paul Smith and Tyler Maxton, one of whom was of the opinion that Rallycross is a contact sport and so therefore most things are fair game, and the other person who said just because you can bump doesn't mean that you should crash into each other.
Who is who?
I'll let you guess. I won't say.
No, I didn't think you were going to.
I was not going to.
No, I know. But I'll see if I can. It's worth a try anyway, wasn't it?
Look at this choo-choo train, by the way. And one thing to note is Tyler Schell goes to the inside of Vince Pichel, and he's going to get up in towards 5th position as they work their way off the banking. And Pichel will try and get the up and under, but I think the Ford Fiesta has enough speed. Is that all this work that iRacing is doing for rain may very well benefit dirt racing as a whole overall. iRacing yesterday releasing a rather intriguing screenshot, Ewan. Not sure if you had the chance to get the microscope out and try and look through all the fine details.
Oh, well, I didn't have my microscope out, no. But I have seen it. It's pretty impossible to avoid over the last couple of days. And yeah, you're right, it might well have an effect. Oh, this is a big smash for Pichel, who will drop outside the top 5 and go straight into Johnson and Kusen.
And that's at least 2 added to the flip counter there for poor Keenan Kusen, who takes the shortcut trying to just get out of dodge. But on to the last lap of the race, Pichel with the mistake. Broberg, the main fatality as a result of all of that. 3.6 on the flip counter now.
If that graphic there just doesn't show you how crazy this RX2 round has been here today, then I don't know what will. We've got decimal places on the flip count.
To be fair, that started last week at Barcelona,
Okay.
if I don't recall. If I recall. Because we had half a flip, and so we had to make sure we were talking about that. Kane Lasky, though, through all of the drama, clear at the front, 4 victories this season. Kane Lasky one step closer to a Racecraft RX2 title. McFarlane across the line second, when Nicky will grab the final spot on the podium. They're still fighting on track because it has been that crazy of a round. Ewan RX1 has got so much to live up to.
Yeah, they do. Oh, and that's even a photo finish right at the very end there as well. RX1 certainly does have a very much to live up to, and Kane Lasky now doesn't have all that much to do in the final 2 rounds. He certainly does, but it's all on the others behind to try and overtake him in the championship after this big win here.
He didn't make the feature in the first 2 rounds. I don't remember if we saw him racing in the first 2 races of the season, but it's been a consistent driver in the feature since then. And another victory and back-to-back wins once again as we head into a championship off week. McFarlane Winicki, rest of the podium with Sean Winkler being consistently up inside of your feature top 5 once again. Tyler Schell, he was involved in plenty of the drama here today, back in 5th. Howell, Johnson, Broberg, Titz, Bichelle through to the top 10 with a photo finish for the final car on track between Bichelle and Tom Grady. They were split by what was 8 thousandths of a second at the line. It's Keenan Kusin after his flip that unfortunately will be classified as the only DNF in this race. So we are going to get the opportunity to chat to a few of these drivers, hopefully, and we'll start, I guess, with Evan McFarlane, who's standing by with Ewan O'Leary.
Welcome, Evan. Good to have you here. Second place, I believe, here after this. How was your day at this bizarre racetrack?
Well, I mean, coming in after all, I had my practice laps. I knew I'd be fast. I mean, I had a good lead, but I just got on the throttle too soon. I junked it, and then I got spun around. But he couldn't move anywhere. It was a really good race, though. It was. I think I could have won, but I made a rookie mistake, and just got to build off of that.
It certainly was an interesting race. Just on those curbs, though, that at turn 2 especially, sorry, just how difficult are they to avoid, and what challenge do they pose to you in this track? Because we saw a lot of people hitting them in RX2 today.
Yeah, I mean, I used the curbs personally just to help rotate my car, and I guess I got on the handbrake, anticipated the rubber wrong, and then I just got on it wrong, got on the gas wrong. Went down to second, probably didn't really help there, but I just got on it, just made a rookie mistake, but
Well, still second place at the end, so congratulations on that, and thanks very much for coming to chat to us.
Yeah, I would like to thank Robbie Lareal for teaching me all these lines. Without him, I don't think I could have been this fast. KS Industries, True Speed, Fluid Logic, Marwin Esports, Milan, Pit Viper, and all those guys.
Thanks very much. Evan McFarlane, second place here today, Arjuna.
We make our way over to the top step of the podium, though, where Kane Lasky is standing by. Kane, a 4th victory this season. You must be feeling pretty comfortable with your speed. 3 seconds clear at the line.
Oh, actually, it's a lot harder than it looks, and it's been a big relief.
Rallycross is all about being consistent, though, and there are some really famous sayings about how sports people make their own luck. How do you practice for a lot of these races, especially knowing that starts 3 wide through the oval banking, it can be very chaotic and unpredictable?
Well, that's one of the reasons it's been difficult. Like, it's a new class for me, and also, like, a lot of the tracks are new. I haven't seen them, and also my wheel settings as far as a direct drive wheel, like Rallycross is quite unique. So luckily the series has been fixed, and that helps because it eliminates one variable. And how I actually practice, I haven't had a lot of time, so it's been stressful. I've had to rely on my previous racecraft experience and focus, and then my overall strategy is that. Like, I entered the league so I could work on being relaxed and as I drive. And obviously this will test you there. So it's been a pretty good season, and just trying to finish all the races and not have contact and be consistent has worked out for me more than my speed or my skill at the moment.
We've got Sonoma and Charlotte coming up to round out the championship after a week off. What did you think about this track? Because Sonoma and Charlotte are known for being some of the drivers' favorite tracks. Lucas Oil divides opinions.
Yeah, well, there's sometimes a good track to drive or, drive and a good track to race. So sometimes you don't get both of those in the same combination. And generally, Lucas Oil is a pretty fun track. It's high speed, and that's what makes it difficult. You have to be very precise, and the grip changes a lot. So you have to be on point, and you have to be a little bit careful. Otherwise, you have big mistakes. But there are lots of places to pass because just being behind somebody puts pressure on, and people make mistakes. So again, it's like try to stay out of trouble and hit your marks and be ready to take advantage of opportunity. And then this week, what I did focus on was qualifying a little bit more because I knew if you're anywhere on the front row, you're probably, there's a little bit of luck involved. And so even qualifying in Rallycross is a little bit of luck because you really have to nail that lap.
Congratulations on your 4th victory this season. We'll have time for one final interview here in RX2, and Ewan O'Leary is standing by with our 3rd place finisher, Cody Winicki.
Cody, welcome to the booth. Podium for you here tonight. Turn 1 is an absolute mess from where we can see and what we're looking at. What is lap 1, turn 1 like as a driver?
Oh, it's a blast. You just got to keep looking to your left and your right, make sure you're clear and good to go on the straights.
I have to say it was a very enjoyable race to watch from where you were watching battles in and around you during that race. But how difficult is it to pass around here? Is it one of the easy ones? Is it one of the harder ones on the schedule?
It is very difficult on this track. This is my first day running this track, actually. New to iRX, so this is a blast, and thank you guys for putting on a great show.
Thanks very much, and congratulations on 3rd place here today.
Thank you very much.
There we are, Cody Winicki, 3rd place here today at this circuit, Arjuna.
Well, as always, the expectation has been set high by the drivers in RX2. We'll be back under the night lights here at the Lucas Oil Raceway Park with RX1 action for round 8 of the championship.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, it's been an interesting start to the proceedings here for Racecraft Rallycross. RX2 always knows to put on a show. And while Kane Lasky is proving to be the dominant force in RX2, it's all about Jacob Rafos in RX1. Only one time has he been deprived of going to victory lane, and that was a race in which he had to go to the last chance qualifiers, and things went awry. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, joined alongside once again by Ewan O'Leary, the Lucas Oil Raceway Park, a track that I have been demeaning over the course of the season. I may have to try and take back some of those comments now, Ewan.
I don't think he will, for some reason. But no, I've enjoyed it so far, to be honest. It's been good. It's just the fact that Turn 1 is just pandemonium, really. And sometimes the race is settled from there. We'll see if that's going to be the case in RX1, because as we said before the broadcast, RX2 has been providing a little bit more action this season so far than RX1, because we're a little bit more predictable here in the second half of our broadcast.
Well, not so today, because no Jacob Rafos. We'll talk about that in a few moments' time. Quick look at the championship standings, where it is a 16. I wanted to make sure I did the math right there. Point advantage that the young Jacob Rafos has over Josh Fox, Jarno Leskinen, Garrett Maines, and Josh Clogg, rest of the top 5, although a big break between the top 4 and those that are trying to chase them down. Quick look at your track analysis as well. We've already seen the Lucas Oil Raceway Park in action a handful of times tonight with those RX2 drivers, but it's always important to note the rather phallic nature of the track map, yes, but the fact that that Joker merges directly into the entry in towards the tight 90-degree left-hand turn number 1. Then you've got the switchback 2 and 3 that lead you back onto the dirt and over the jump. Every corner is a passing opportunity here, Ewan.
It certainly is, and I think the other thing with the Joker is as well that it doesn't actually cost you that much time. We see some real big ones that cost you a lot of time around at some of the circuits, and some ones that cut out a lot of time as well. But this is one of those that really makes little difference because it spits you out onto the apex of Turn 1, and that does make things interesting in a different kind of way to what we see normally.
So that's the track analysis. Let's talk a little bit then, of course, about your race analysis, because as mentioned, 5-lap heats, 5-lap LCQs. Okay, it's a 6 incident limit for this rather than 8x incident limit, but again, still 10-lap feature. Open setup for these drivers as well, and track evolution definitely plays its part given that there are no resets of that track state over the course of the event. Again, 2 heats expected for these drivers with, I think, 8 drivers in one, 7 in the other. And then, of course, we'll find our way through to the LCQs. Jarno Leskinen takes advantage, though, of Jacob Rafos not being on hand to grab yet another pole position. He'll line up alongside Garrett Maines and Joni Palaneva on the front row. It's Jukka Pakala and Marcus Palacio that line up behind them, with Santeri Heiskanen on the inside of Russell Peterson and Toby Ward. It's Santeri Heiskanen that is racing with the wheelbase that Ollie Honka has donated to the cause, and so it's great to see that Subaru STI back out onto track. I'm disappointed, Ewan, that you wouldn't be such a good teammate.
Well, maybe it's a bit selfish of me, isn't it? But it seems a world away driving anyway, to be fair. So there you are. I'm not in that mindset.
I know, we're talking about getting you lighting for your green screen to open up things behind the scenes. Next step maybe is a steering wheel so we can get you doing some rallycross?
Well, step too far, I think.
Step too far?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to try rallycross actually in iRacing. It is something I've never done. I've driven on iRacing, by the way, but not the rallycross. But yeah, there we are. I've never experienced it yet.
Well, do you need to know what you're talking about? We'll know what you're doing to talk about it. Apparently not, because they let the 2 of us into the commentary booth, ready to go for RX1. Great start from Palaneva. Gives a bit of a shove to Garrett Maines, who's in the Smithfield Ford Fiesta here today. Leskinen will lead, bit of bumper cars running behind as Maines tries to get the up and under on the run down across the line and into Turn 1. No major drama there. Battle for third sees Palaneva try to challenge on the inside of Jukka Pakala. Leskinen off and into the wall, and Maines will take the lead.
Up on 2 wheels as well, Leskinen there. Maines had no choice almost but to go down the inside of him down in towards Turn 2. They'll be up over the jump now, and the 2 of them will be away, but let's not forget, that's not going to be it. Top 3 advanced here in the heats for RX1, so that's going to change things certainly, and the battle between these 2 might be a quite good one as well.
Whoa, well, Leskinen almost added one to the flip counter there as he got up onto the sleeping policeman, but somehow survived across the line. Well, Leskinen Joker, there is a bit of a margin behind, but I don't think he was called on in.
Wow.
Mains did decide, though, to try and take to the Joker and will lead in front of Leskinen after taking his one Joker lap.
Yeah, I think Leskinen probably should have gone for it there, but maybe seeing Mains going for it, maybe put him off a little bit. He does look a little bit quicker right now. They go over the jump and he was very quick. Very close to the back of Mains, just in towards turn 4. He clipped the wall on the way in this time, though, and has lost maybe a few hundredths of a second.
Garrett Mains, as always, makes his bed for us, but I think hopefully is providing us with these multiple camera angles as well. There we go with the pedal cam, the one worthy of the OnlyFans. And then maybe we get the point of view. You get to cosplay as Garrett Mains for a moment. Look at the lock that he's got through turn number 1. Leskinen from a country mile, I think, took to the Joker. Unable to take the position, but will slot back into second. It's really now all about the fight for third. Pakala and Palaneva, 2 cars fighting for the final transfer to the feature.
Absolutely, as I mentioned, 3 go through, and neither of these 2 have taken their Joker, I believe, at this stage. They certainly hadn't at the start of this lap, and I don't think either of them went for it this time either, so we're going to have to wait on that. And are they going to do it together? If I was Palaneva, I would be in on this time if I hadn't been already, because there is probably a gap there he can slot into.
Is it 2 teammates that duke it out? Problem for Palaneva is Pakala's decided it's time to take to the Joker on board with the Team Watson Racing driver Marcus Palacio, as that's certainly a camera angle.
That is a camera angle. I don't know what we're seeing there.
It's one for the ages is what it is.
Oh, it's on its side is what it is as well, and his arm.
How has he managed to do
mostly.
that? I'm very curious about this.
I don't know, but there we are. He's
I mean,
got one of the more interesting ones.
I've seen some shocking camera angles from some pretty top-level esports drivers. You've seen Jeffrey Rietveld's camera, right? The spy between like the monitor and the rig, where literally you get 1 inch of vertical, actual like point of view of what's going on, and the rest is blocked by other things. That is definitely an interesting one as well. Now Palaneva will take to the Joker next time by as we come on to the final lap of the race. Bit of a slam into the wall on the Joker, but he holds on to the position and he gets a shot from his teammate.
Well, the teammates are going to go for it now. It's going to be the over and under once again for Pakala as Palaneva slides in front of him. These 2 are going to fight this one all the way to the line.
Side by side through the dirt as they get ready to yoink the handbrake. Mains and Leskinen clear at the front. Look at the respect shown between the teammates. Palaneva will try and get the up and under, but Pakala, with a beautiful display of car control, holds on to third as Mains comes across the line to grab the victory in heat number 1. He advances with Jarno Leskinen, while Yuko Pakala and Joni Palaneva put on a show behind.
Absolutely phenomenal racing between those 2. The pass around the outside of turn 4, which was already a long and difficult corner anyway, it was so impressively done, and yeah, that was absolutely fantastic.
It's a Ford that's victorious. After that, Leskinen and Pakala mostly in the Subarus. Quick look at those results for heat number 1, but we're ready to go for heat 2. And remember, just 2 heats here tonight, and so it means that Josh Fox and Connor Parisi and Robbie Larill have a great opportunity for a feature victory if they can convert a front row starting spot in this heat. Josh Edmondson, Josh Clogg behind, with Brian Sawyer and Daniel Aish rounding out the 7-car grid.
And important for Josh Fox as well. Sorry to put in there. Important for Josh Fox to gain some points today.
Absolutely, especially with Jacob Rafoss missing out. But once again, all focus to the lights. Larill with some technical issues. How will that play as they fire themselves off the blocks in towards turns 3 and 4 on the oval? Behind, no major drama. It's really about Josh Fox and Connor Parisi leaning on one another. Parisi around the outside has a little bit of a clearance there, but Fox fires it back up the inside, and the Pennsylvania native grabs the lead once again.
Nice battle, nice respect, but nice move in the end from Fox as one of them spun around from 3rd place. It was a very troubled car internet-wise anyway, so I think the drivers will be a bit glad secretly about that.
I think that was also internet-related from Larill potentially. I don't know if Edmondson really had too much knowledge of what was going on. He's got Josh Clogg firing up behind him now, though, because that's the fight for the transfer spots. With Fox and Parisi scampering away, don't think they'll fight too hard. Edmondson will have the full focus on him.
Yeah, Parisi knows that there's a gap behind him. He can already go into the Joker. That's an interesting one as well. We can see the top of his head. That's about it. But yeah, it's not that we can see a lot anyway. It's VR for him by the looks of things, from what we can see there. But you're right, the top two won't fight here. It will be for third once again, the fight. Josh Edmondson got a lot of battling on his hands here for the remaining 3 laps.
Absolutely. Always interesting to see some of these camera angles. There are some certain series which actually have requirements about how much of your face must be in view, which angle it's got to be from, etc, etc, etc. I'm just suggesting maybe we need to help some of these drivers out a little bit, because we always love seeing more with the webcams. Edmondson will peel off to the Joker. I think he's followed in from behind as well. Edmondson, though, has Clog really giving him a big shove. Clog will get on through for a moment, but still yet to Joker. It's that Joker exit, which is really treacherous.
It certainly is, and it's created quite a lot of action in this group now. Let's not forget about Sir and Ace there, who are not too far behind. The 4 of them all fighting for that final transfer spot into the feature. Well, it's anyone's game at the moment. There's really not a favourite to pick from these 4 right now.
I get the sense, because we've seen some drivers really execute well on the Joker to the point where they haven't really had to defend from behind. That's the Ford Fiesta, Brian Sawyer, not executing so well on the Joker as he slaps the wall.
Yeah, that wasn't quite so nice, unfortunately, and so it might well be between the top 2 now, although we are still waiting for Clog to make that Joker. As we mentioned before, though, it doesn't lose you a lot of time. It gets you right onto the apex of turn 1, and it's about how Josh Edmondson gets himself around the outside there and into third if he can.
It'll be coming up this time by as they rumble towards the line. Josh Fox as well will take that Joker, and he should cycle in front of Connor Parisi with a healthy margin at the front. There goes Clog in that blue Subaru. Plenty of commitment, sideways even before he merged back onto track, but not giving Edmondson a sniff of an opportunity.
Well, Emerson couldn't go around the outside, he couldn't cut back to the inside either, so it's going to have to be a dive at the very end. The turn 5 hairpin may be the last chance here, although Emerson's slowing down.
Bit of a mistake there, potentially. Did he cut too much to the curb and get a slow down? Sawyer maybe trying to get through the inside of the hairpin, but it's now 2 Williams Esports cars that will work their way to the front row of the grid in the feature, with Josh Fox lining up alongside Jarno Leskinen. Connor Parisi as well as Josh Clog advanced directly on through. Daniel Aish is somehow going to come across the line in 4th. Robbie Larill in 5th, with Josh Edmondson dropping to 6th in the closing stages.
Must have been a slowdown penalty. Saw him just after the jump there, hitting the brakes pretty much, and it was that was it for the battle for 3rd place. Edmondson to 6th, as you say.
So here's a look at those race results. I think maybe Edmondson and Sawyer both having some issues and dramas on those final couple of laps. But with that said, that's the heats done, and now it's full focus on the LCQs. Here's a look at how they'll line up for the one and only LCQ that we're going to get. So throw 9 cars onto the grid, 6 spots up for grabs. Palaneva, Aish, and Palacio on the front row. Larill and Ward behind them, with Edmondson, Heiskanen, Sawyer, and Peterson, the rest of the starting lineup. Just one LCQ means that we're going to fire through the RX1 action in pretty short order. For some of these drivers, of course, it's been an up and down roller coaster over 7 rounds. Some just looking for a little bit of calm amongst the storm. They're all lined up and all focused on getting ready for the one and only chance they'll have to fight to a feature. It's a decent start from them all, but as we race here at the Lucas Oil Raceway Park around the outside, the Team Watson racing car of Marcus Palacio gets the best jump of them all in towards turn number 1. He's got a healthy margin. It's single file behind him.
Yeah, Larill there still blinking, I'm afraid, going to cause problems, but there may well be some more in towards turn 1 here. Oh, goodness, it's a big stack up. Everybody gets through cleanly, though.
Ryan Sawyer did a great job of seeing that coming, went to the outside and finds himself up in towards the 5th position. Remember, the top 6 advance out of this one, and so realistically should not see too much fighting. Although having said that, up and over the jump, I think that was Ward as well as Heiskanen making a bit of contact. They're able to get through that one safely, winding out to complete the end of lap number 1.
Yeah, there was contact further in the background, but the lead is getting away cleanly here. As you say, 6 advance, so everybody knows that it is pretty safe. You don't need to fight too hard. Palacio takes the Joker. He'll continue in the lead in a very safe place now.
And so that's now basically Palacio consolidating the best starting spot out of those that work their way on through. Again, this interesting camera angle that I guess we have. I guess he's got an ultra-wide monitor, maybe.
I'm glad he's warm enough to be able to be in short sleeves as well, by the way. But anyway, that's an English thing. There we are, out the final corner, and he's absolutely fine from here. He's done this Joker. He's in the lead and top 6 advance. It couldn't be better, really.
Josh Edmondson, look how much he's pushing up to the walls. Daniel H will take off to the Joker this time through. Can this Nitro Circus next level racing car clear? No, he will not. H slides back up into 3rd.
Yeah, and once again, Emerson knowing the gap to 7th place, which is the important one. He didn't need to fight that one, and so he ended up not fighting it, really. Here is Peterson in 8th place, quite a long way behind at this stage. I'm not sure where Larill is. I'm not sure anybody does know.
This is a camera angle, by the way.
Yes, this is very nice. And
yes.
Single screen, bring back single screens, I say.
I mean, I've got a single screen. It's just a big single screen.
I don't mind that. It just feels a bit old school these days to have just one screen.
You would like them big. That's the hashtag out of today confirmed. Across the line once again. I really do like this a shot over the shoulder as well. You get to see what they're doing so much more visually with the steering as well, how hard they're working. We saw Palacio kind of just going back and forth, seesawing with the wheel. Not such the case there on board over the shoulder, but I'll see what the other machines are going to do, as they're all kind of stacked up in line right now in one long train.
Absolutely, it is one long train, and this is what happens really when you have 6 advancing. So many of the field, 2/3 of the field are going through here, and it just makes everybody calm down a little bit and realise that it's not so important to battle all of the time. Palanova takes the Joker, and the top 6 should be settled here. They all know they're going through, and this is the result, really.
Yeah, no major drama in this one as expected, with such a big field for just one last chance qualifier and 6 advancing on through.
Well, Toby was under a bit of pressure from Larill here. Not that he can see him, but he's blinking his way nearly into 6th place here.
My timing's going a bit crazy as well, because Larill's internet is trying to put him somewhere between his real location and here in Indianapolis. Not going to be enough for him to advance his way on through, which I think will be a relief to some of the drivers in the feature, but Marcos Palacio and the Team Watson racing car will find his way on forward to the best of the starting spots out of those that fought their way out of a last chance qualifier. Here's a look at the race results. So it is 4 Subarus and 2 Fords that advance. Palacio, Palaneva, Aish, Edmondson, Sawyer, and Ward, your 6 advancees, with Larill, Peterson, and Heiskanen done for the day. It means that we still get the interesting sideways camera out of Marcos Palacio, but as we head into another brief warm-up session for the drivers to get themselves reaccustomed to the track conditions, Ewan O'Leary, I think we're in for a rather interesting race, especially knowing there's no Jacob Rafos. There's a victory up for grabs.
Exactly, that's what makes this so open, to be honest. We do like having Rafos here, of course. It's great to see the dominance and the talent he has as well. It's just frightening, to be honest. But it's also great to have a more open race on this occasion, a race where we really don't know quite what's going to happen in this one. And one that's very important, as I mentioned, for Josh Fox. He's only 16 points back coming into this, and if he wants any glimmer of hope, then he's going to have to score well here in this race.
10-round championship, 2 drop rounds included in that, and that's where the importance of maximizing when Rafos is not here really comes to the fold. 3 wide starts. You're going to have 2 Williams Esports cars lining up 2nd and 3rd position. It'll be Leskinen on the very outside of the front row, of course, because we had 2 heat races. The winner of Heat 1 starts on the inside of the front row in 1st position, winner of Heat 2 in 2nd, and then we start filling them in one by one through the rest of the heat. I think Leskinen's going to be potentially in a bit of a spot here where he can help Josh Fox by backing up those behind.
Yeah, I do wonder whether they are going to play that game, or are they all just going to race for the win here, as if they're all, privateers, I guess. I don't really know how they're going to play that, how seriously they're going to take that. I guess a lot will be decided once they get in towards turn 1, although the RX1 starts have been a lot cleaner.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. We have managed to get through some of those scrambles a little bit more cleanly. I just wonder if maybe there's a difference with the setups as well. I'm just curious, maybe the setups used for this race are a little bit different for those fixed setups. We were talking about monitors. You can see over my shoulder, you and I also like them big.
Nice.
We're getting very inappropriate here on Racecraft TV. It's been an interesting season. I'm getting very inappropriate on Racecraft TV. It's been an interesting season so far. We get a week off after this, and so it's all about getting some momentum in towards the championship run. Garrett Maines, Josh Fox, and Jarno Leskinen line up on the front row with Connor Parisi, Jukka Pakala behind them. It'll be Josh Clog on the inside of the first of those that advanced out of the Last Chance qualifiers. Marcus Palacio with Joni Palaneva, Daniel Aish, Josh Edmondson, Brian Sawyer, and Toby Ward making up the rest of our 12-car main event. So we've got Ford Fiestas at the very back, and we've got a Ford Fiesta at the very front. But the rest of the field made up of the distinctive Subaru STI. Very quickly, Ewan, who comes out on top?
I'm going to go with Garrett Maines on the inside of the front row.
Oh, interesting. I feel like Josh Fox is going to come out on top, just knowing that this is a race that with Jacob Voss out of action, at Williams Esports number 12 must maximize the points. Ready to go for the final time, though, under the night lights here at the Lucas Oil Raceway Park. Great start from Josh Fox. Great start from both of the Williams Esports cars. Garrett Maines left in the dust. Fox from Leskinen back across the start-finish line, but into turn number 1. How aggressive, how punchy will Garrett Maines elect to be? We saw going to the outside sometimes can be a benefit. One of your cars up and into the wall. Some bumper cars played, though, as they funnel their way onto the brakes. A relatively tidy start overall.
I think it was Palacio who went off the road and into the wall there at turn 1, although I can't be sure.
I think it's Palaneva.
Okay, it was 50-50, wasn't it? It was unfortunate, though, and we still got a lot of cars, though, running into this hairpin. The concertina effect here is wild, and there's going to be a lot of contact for everybody, although they mainly get through. The top 4 certainly do.
I think we had a bit of a stack up with the likes of Palacio and Palaneva at the very tail end of the field, but outside of that, relatively tidy start. One driver elects to take to the Joker, and that is a great job from Parisi to be able to slot back into line in front of Jukka Pakala. And now maybe we'll put the pressure onto Garrett Maines, who is really hounding Leskinen, while Fox builds up a 1+ second advantage as they get ready to head to the hairpin.
Yeah, the top 3 seem that a little bit quicker than the rest right now, but Garrett Maines is going to have a real problem here with Leskinen in front of him. He gets to the rear in towards the final corner, but still can't find a way through. I wonder if now is the chance for him to take his Joker.
Right driver's eye with Garrett Maines, or driver's head, I should say, with Garrett Maines. GoPro attached directly to the head. He'll look to the inside of Leskinen, who left the door open, and into turn number 2. Maines with a bit of contact will try and set himself up with the switchback, but Leskinen, more than anything, frustrating and costing Garrett Maines time. The gap to the leader grows to 2 full seconds, and Leskinen does a great job of closing the door on Maines and pinching him tight through turn number 4.
Yeah, pinched him the exact right amount as well. Didn't just force him into the wall, but just pinched him millimetre perfectly there at the moment. That was quite weird. I thought the 2 people were in the same room, but there they are, battling away. Leskinen playing the perfect team role. Whether he set out to do that at the start of today or not, I don't know. However, he's playing it perfectly, whichever it is right now, because you're right. Even if Garrett Maines gets through right now, it's almost an impossible ask to catch Josh Fox.
So, love the side-by-side look of Garrett Maines in his sim rig, and then Jarno Leskinen behind the wheel of the virtual Williams Esports Subaru. This is a really fun tussle, but it's crucial in that championship fight from Josh Fox's perspective as he looks set to grab a second victory this season. Again, Parisi, though, the first car and only car inside of the top 5 yet to have jokered. He's still yet to close, though, on the back of Garrett Maines. I wonder if Maines could maybe think about a joker here to try and set up something, as we get a much better view now of Connor Parisi.
Absolutely, he's tilted his camera down, thankfully, and we can see him. But this is quite dangerous now for Garrett Maines and Leskinen, to be fair. Parisi has taken his Joker really smartly, and now, in a bit of clean air, he's been able to catch these 2 fighting for second because of the battle that's been going on. And then, as enthralling it has been to watch, it's been costing them time, and it's possibly been delivering Connor Parisi a podium today.
This is really fascinating stuff. Parisi seems to struggle out of that section back onto the tarmac. And all the time that it looked like he had been closing through the infield, he gives up once again. Did close 3/10 that lap by as Garrett Maines almost runs into the back of Leskinen's Williams Esports car. Look at the fancy footwork from Maines. He just balances the throttle, just hoping that he can get down to power down. Slight dab of the brake as he jumps to settle the front end of the car and avoid getting it too high up in the air. You can really just tell how intentional you have to be with your inputs.
Yeah, you do have to be so careful. The footwork is quite phenomenal, and the wheel work as well, as we were seeing earlier on from the head cam. It's quite remarkable, but I'm still surprised Garrett Maines hasn't come into the pit lane. Now, the Joker, now he won't be doing it, of course. Leskinen with the mistake and Maines on the outside.
Leskinen still has the inside though, but up and under for Maines once again. The deja vu. Can Maines execute a bit better with the switch back towards the jump? No, he clips the inside wall. That checks up his momentum. Fortunately, no damage. Fox has already jokered, by the way. Amidst all of this fighting, it leaves Leskinen, Maines, Aish and Palaneva, the 4 cars yet to take to that joker on the inside of the run to turn number 1. And guess who's joined the party once again? Connor Parisi to the inside of Garrett Maines.
Yeah, Parisi wants Maines to take his joker first, ideally, I think, and then Leskinen. But I thought Leskinen was going to do it that time. Still, the top 2 stay out there, and they're leaving it quite late at this point. It might be final lap stuff as Parisi gets down the inside.
Door was open for that Subaru, and Parisi always willing to get argy-bargy. Maines with the contact, almost pirouettes around, save the Smithfield Ford, but not up and over the jump. He's stranded for a moment, and a huge wreck there with the helpless Yuka Pakala that could do nothing about that. Josh Clogg is unable to take advantage because there's more afters there with Garrett Maines. A clumsy, clumsy situation.
Well, a clumsy end to a fantastic battle, I'm afraid. It was actually very good driving from Connor Parisi to seize that opportunity down the inside at turn 1. He did it at turn 2 as well. They ran out of space at turn 3, but I don't think it was anyone's fault. Maines just tried to get back going again, unfortunately, and, found himself going across the jump at an awkward angle and found himself in the middle of the road as well.
2 to go. Looks like it might be a Williams Esports 1 and 2 here at this Lucas Oil Raceway Park. For the second time this season, of course, after Fox and Leskinen finished 1 and 2 back at the Atlanta Motorsports Park.
And was Jacob Rafos at that one?
He's been at every race this season, but I think that was the one where he missed out on the feature, to be fair.
Okay, I wasn't there for that, so I don't know.
I was about to ask which one were you there for, because I've already forgotten.
I would have remembered that. but yes, not that one, unfortunately. It's good to see, though, for them. And as we said at the start, great news for Josh Fox's championship aspirations. I don't think he'll quite take the championship lead because of drop rounds and stuff, but he'll do himself a favour with this one.
Josh Fox had to wait almost, a full year before getting back to Racecraft RX victory lane. It's been just a few races as Josh Fox comes across the line to win at the Lucas Oil Raceway Park. It's a Williams Esports 1 and 2 with Jarno Leskinen grabbing the second step of the podium. Connor Parisi able in the Nitro Circus Next Level Racing machine to grab what will be another podium to add to his tally for the season. Clogg, Sawyer, and then Edmondson and Palaneva across the line to finish up the top 7. I spent most of the previous rounds of the championship not looking forward to this race, but now that it's done and dusted, I'm sad that it's in the history books. It's Josh Fox, 5 odd seconds clear of his teammate Jarno Leskinen, Connor Parisi, Josh Clogg, and Brian Sawyer, your top 5. It'll be Edmondson, Palaneva, and then Palacio, 6th, 7th, and 8th with Ward and Aish. 3 are top 10. Final cars in this feature, Yuka Pakala, and then unfortunately Garrett Maines, the only DNF on the day. We'll give it a few moments for the drivers to come and join us here in the Racecraft TV interview booth. But Ewan, under these night lights, we had plenty of swanging and banging.
I don't even know that's a word, but
that's some MMA talk. You got to get with the times.
Okay, sorry, I get with the times. Get with a new sport. But anyway, yes, it was good fun actually. It's a bizarre circuit, and I can't say it's one that looks like it's much fun to drive either, if I'm honest. But it produced some good racing in the end. Once again, RX2 providing action, and RX1 did deliver this time as well, especially in the feature. Took a little while to warm up in some of the heats and the last chance qualifier as well, of course, where so many of them went through. But in the feature there, we did see some good racing. Some of the battling between Garrett Maines and Leskinen first of all, and then Parisi as he got involved as well. Those battles were fantastic to watch.
It was a lot of excitement across both RX1 and RX2, but we're standing by with your race winner for the second time this season. Josh Fox is victorious. Josh, how was this round from your perspective? Didn't make the most of it maybe in qualifying, but once you were at the front of the feature race start, you blasted through to the front and never looked back.
Yeah, it would have been nice to get the pole, even if the very inside is not the preferred place to be. Still had to get it done down there in the heat race, and setting up for the middle or outside of the main event is definitely preferable. But felt good about the car really all week leading up to it. You know, I felt like we had a really fast car here and liked the track a lot, and pretty smooth day all in all. Didn't have a lot of drama to sort through, and glad to come out on top.
It's one of those tracks where it's very weird for us to be talking about the Joker Delta, because if you execute your Joker well, you don't actually lose too much time relative to those that you're fighting with. How do you think about the Joker strategy at a track like this?
Yeah, there isn't much of one, to be honest. I think my strategy, the way I was thinking about it, was just take it when you know no one is gonna, pass you, super close behind it, like a second or so behind. I think it's an advantage to come down off the oval banking into that blend. So just making sure no one's too close behind is the right way, in my opinion.
So we get a week off, and then we head to Sonoma before wrapping things up in Charlotte. No Jacob today, of course, means that you move yourself a little bit more into the championship mix. What are you going to be thinking about in the off week to get yourself set for the championship run?
Same thing I've been thinking the last 4 or 5 races. Just bringing a good car and feeling like you can come out on top. And I really felt like we've had the cars to do that here in the last couple, and just very small mistakes add up to be the difference. And yeah, it's a shame we couldn't battle it out with Jacob today, but it doesn't change the expectation whether he's there or not. Just going for the wins and close it out.
Well, congratulations on another victory, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time from Charlotte.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate everything you all do at Racecraft TV, everyone watching. Really been a strong season so far, and I also want to recognize Williams Esports and everyone over there who helps get it done here. The BenQ, Chill Blast, Playseat, Team Razor, Fanatec, Heissinkfeld, Recaro, Gulf Oil, Team Razor, and Duracell. Thanks again.
That was Josh Fox out of Williams Esports. He had Team Razor twice on that list if you're counting. We'll head over to Jarno Leskinen, who joins us from that Williams Esports camp as well. Jarno, another 1 and 2. You looked like you were having a fun fight there with Garrett all the way through the end of the feature.
Yeah, it was fun to have something to fight with after Josh got away. Yeah, it was a nice battle that ended up pretty badly for Garrett, but I don't actually know what happened there, but yeah.
It can be a difficult track to actually race at, right? Because some of those quarters really all kind of funnel into one another. We were just talking with Josh about Joker strategy here. How were you kind of thinking about the Joker strategy when you had Garrett directly behind you? Was there ever a thought in your mind that maybe you could take the Joker and then really frustrate him by getting clear of him?
No, actually, the Jokers. Actually, when I drive it, I lose a time, so I would have dropped behind the Garrett. So I took if he takes I take it 1 lap after he takes, or if we both go the Joker lap on the last lap, I don't mind about it.
Well, it's your 5th podium so far this season. Still have 2 rounds of the championship left to go. Congratulations, Jarno, on the performance and the Williams Esports 1 and 2.
Thank you. And congrats to Josh.
So Williams Esports 1 and 2. Quick chat as well with Connor Parisi, who did post on social media that this is his favorite track of them all. Connor, how did you enjoy being back here at Lucas Oil?
Well, I would have liked it a little more if I was a couple spots higher on the podium, but overall good race.
You see, you've still got that VR headset on as well. We were watching some of your perspective when you're driving behind the wheel of the car. VR must be a great benefit for a track like this, where you've got so many 90-degree corners and you're always trying to look left or right and figure out where the rest of your competition is.
Yeah, it's great, especially with this Pimax, with this wicked wide field of view. I can see everything I need to see, and I think it's a huge advantage, especially compared to someone just on like a single monitor or ultra wide or something.
Well, we didn't see you in the feature last time out at Barcelona, but you're back and you're back on the podium. How fun has it been to be joining back with Rallycross action after missing the first 3 rounds of the championship?
Yeah, the schedule was a little tight this season, so fortunately I missed last week and then the first few weeks, but it's always great getting back in these Rallycross cars. It's my true love, my true passion in racing, so just happy to get back behind the wheel.
Well, congratulations on the 3rd place finish, Connor, and we'll see you in a few weeks' time as we roll off to Sonoma.
Thanks, Bills.
Sonoma up next. That's going to be a lot of fun as we head to a track where the start is known as the bowling alley, Ewan. If that's not an ominous sign, you tell me what is.
Yeah, that is the most of ominous signs, I would say. And so, yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what will happen there. But only 2 rounds remaining in this championship now. It will be very interesting wherever we're going to end up, and very much worth tuning in for as well.
That's right. It's not Sonoma that's up next. It's Charlotte that's up next. Sonoma's closer to me. Tyler Maxon's racing up there in Sonoma in the real world this weekend. I've got Sonoma on my mind, but we'll head to America's Home for Racing, one of the interesting driver-friendly tracks that a lot of the drivers really enjoy slinging the dirt. And if I remember off the top of my head correctly, 59% dirt. It's got the most dirt of any track across of iRX.
It does always help, of course, when the drivers actually enjoy driving around there, but it doesn't always produce good racing. Let's see what happens in a couple of weeks' time at Charlotte. But yeah, once again, looking forward to it, and it will be a very, very important race indeed.
I really enjoy this track. It'll be a lot of excitement to see it. Not sure if we're racing under the night lights, but you can join us, of course, in 2 weeks' time. For now, though, it's time to bid you farewell. What an exciting round of the championship was under the night lights at the Lucas Oil Raceway Park. For now, though, on behalf of Istvan Ballo at TrackCams22.com, for the entire team at Racecraft TV, Ryan Bauer, Ewan O'Leary, and myself, Arjuna Kankipati, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you a happy Easter, and we'll see you on the other side for the run to the championship here in Racecraft Rallycross 2023.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.